الإسلام ديني والعرض بغير ديني محمد.
MashaAllah, welcome back from that brilliant recitation of Surah Yasin by Mishari Al-Fasi. We now bring you the morning talk or the morning motivation, which of course keeps us spiritually uplifted every morning.
Are you really present today? Most people have difficult time being present. They either live in the past or they live in the future. Imagine yourself as a basketball player. 7th game of the NBA Finals, the World Cup of Basketball. 1 second to go. This team is down 2 points. They need 3 points to win the game. But the coach is shouting, the players are shouting, the crowd is shouting. What does he do? Think about dinner at night? Think about what his spouse told him 5 years ago? Of course not. His body, his mind, his spirit will be there so he can get a 3-pointer and become a superstar and become a World Cup champion in basketball. Now imagine you're like that basketball player with your body, with your mind, with your spirit present when you meet the most important client, when you meet your colleague, when you meet your spouse. You really connect with people because you are totally present. Most people have a difficult time being present. They carry the baggage of the past and the worry of the future and are unable to focus on the moment, which is the most magical, the most precious, the highest gift a human being can get. So as you go about your business today and your work today, be in the moment, be present, and give your body, your mind and spirit the attention in the moment and see how magic unfolds. Have a great day.
MashaAllah, that was a great inspirational talk, and of course this keeps us very spiritually uplifted. And now let's take a look at some of the sporting tips brought to you by Professor Solly Said.
Now let's talk a little bit about the background of karate. Karate, as we know it today, actually originated in India. Now this will blow your mind because you think to yourself, how does India connect with karate? Well, in South India, a place called Kerala is where they practice an art called Kalaripayat. Kalaripayat goes back a few thousand years. Actually, the Buddhist monk, who's generally known as the founder of the martial arts, as we know it today, Kung Fu and then eventually karate, was a man called Bodhidharma. He was known as the warrior monk called Bodhidharma. He traveled across from South India over the Himalayas and went into China because he heard that the Chinese were very developed spiritually in Buddhism. And he wanted to actually see them and work with them. He was a highly ranked, he was a 28th successor to Buddha. And he wanted to meet these Chinese people. And of course, through the trip, going across the very treacherous mountains and valleys and rivers and dams and oceans, to get to China, he had an entourage of people who eventually disappeared. Many of them disappeared. And he had to fight his way against highwaymen, animals, all kinds of attacks that they would have to face. And given that he studied, or probably must have been involved in the village art called Kalaripayat, he could defend himself, and he taught his young entourage of people that were with him how to fight and how to. They also studied the movements of animals. They studied the movements of snakes, different reptiles. And a lot of those movements were brought into the martial arts. Eventually, this art, when Bodhidharma got to China, he found the Chinese to be very deeply spiritual, but they were very physically weak because there was no physical activity involved. And what he did was he introduced to the Chinese monks the form of fighting which eventually became known as the Shaolin fighting arts. And these temples that he went and he taught in became known as the Shaolin temples, as we know today. And it is from there, from the Shaolin temples that we hear through the history that we are given, that karate eventually was the birth of karate came about. Right. Karate originated. The word karate came from Okinawa, where it was known as te, or ti, or just the hand fighting techniques of Okinawa. Some Okinawan fighters actually traveled to China to learn how to do the Chinese fighting arts, kung fu fighting arts. And they came back to Okinawa, where they created this art of karate do, as we know it. And from Okinawa, karate spread into Japan, and from Japan to the Western world and around the world. And as we know today, it is very, very popular as a sport, as a martial art, and hopefully at some time in the future, it's going to be an Olympic sport as well. The karate is made up of basics, kata, and kumite. Kata is the forms of karate, and kumite is the fighting art, a fighting part of karate. We will try to run through some of the basic movements that you at home could practice yourself, and hopefully the interest will develop where you would want to learn more about this noble art of karate do. Thank you.
Okay, let's start with this segment, and this segment is going to be dedicated to kata, a bit of kata anyway. Kata, there are many katas. Our style, which is a unique style in the sense that we do katas from shorei and shorin. That is styles that are popular. We do forms of katas that come out of what we call Goju-ryu karate, and katas that come out of what we may be popularly known as Shotokan karate. So and then of course, my own background, which is Kyokushinkai, we do all those katas as well. So our style is a variety of katas and different types of katas as well. But today we're going to show you one of the most unique katas that Master Yama used to love doing, this great karate master, and it's called Tensho. So everybody, right? Hey, Tensho. Right there. Hey, kataran. So this kata is called Tensho. And as you can see from the two previous sizes, it has not only all the physical benefits, it has health benefits, it develops a strong mind, and the movements are very, very fluid. And this kata is all around a very, very big favorite of one of the greatest karate masters that walked on this earth. So because of time constraints, we won't be able to show you the next kata. But promise you in the next episode, we will show you one of the other katas. And as I said to you, we have a variety of katas to draw from, lots of beautiful katas. And as I said to you, please check every movement, how it can be applied, how it can actually snap off people's wrists, elbows, shoulders, and so forth. But let me just thank senseis here for helping us today. Thank you very much. Okay, gentlemen, you may leave, and lady, you may leave. Right? Thank you very much. Domo arigato. So as I said, kata is the heart of karate. Coming out of kata, if you put kata in the center, the way I saw karate, the way I've been studying it, and over the years, looking at it carefully, to me it seemed that all the movements that we see in kata, in kata, we also find them in our basics. And we also find them in our kumite, in our sparring, in our fighting technique. So kata, put kata in the center, and coming out of kata, all the basic movements that we see, we did the punches, for example, the back fist strikes, the knife and strikes, all these different movements that we've seen, that you've done, the blocking techniques, all come out of kata. And then from one side, the kihon is developed, and on the other side, the fighting is developed. So the very same movements, for example, when you're moving, fighting, pa, pa, and you're punching, okay, blocking and punching, these movements are also taken or derived from your kata. So that's why kata can never be disregarded in karate. It has to play a major role in the study of karate. And as I said, take it from the center. Coming out of kata is your kihon, your basics. Coming out of kata is your kumite. So center is the heart of karate, which is called kata. And we'll go into the next episode with more katas as we get, as the time allows us. Thank you very much.
And now it's time for the news, read to you by Nafisa Dango.